Hi, I'm Peter Pepnick. I farm here. My farm name is P&G Pepnick Farms. The G stands for Glenna. That's my wife, my partner for the life. And yes, we are married, and yes, we did raise 3 children on this farm. I've been farming for approximately 49 years. I grew up on this farm, so of course we're familiar with it. As far as the rest of this is in Vauxhall, a good place to farm. There's no doubt about that. How long have I been growing sugar beets? I believe my story, if you want to call it, of growing sugar beets is like a lot of other growers. It's fairly unique in the way it works. There'd be a variety of people I'd like to thank for being here and doing that, but I think we're not supposed to be mentioning people by name, so that's not what I'm doing. I grew my first crop of beets in 1974. So that would make this the 46th year I'm growing beets, except one year we didn't have beets in southern Alberta. We won't talk about that. I actually got my first contract in 1973, and because my father was not a sugar beet grower, I had to get a little earlier so that we could start trying to find equipment that I could afford to start growing beets. In 74, I got my first contract, and it was a difficult situation. I'm going to give my father a lot of credit for getting me the contract, me and my brother, actually, as a matter of fact. I went in and I said to them, I want to grow sugar beets, and we think it's one way of making the farm sustainable. And they said to me, yeah, well, how can you do that? You're a full-time student in university. And I said, yes, I am, but that shouldn't be a hindrance to you. And they said, well, if we give you a crop, a contract, what are you going to do to harvest it? Because you harvest it in October. And I says, well, if you give me a contract, I'll make sure it gets harvested. And they said, well, how are you going to do that? And I said, well, that's a simple question. Finally, I says, I will not go back to school in my fall semester. I will harvest my beets, and they will get done. And then I'll go back during the winter time to finish my degree. And they hemmed and hawed for a while because my father was there. He said, if you're going to make the boys a future in farming, you're going to have to do something like this. They said, yes, okay, we will do that. And so that's the way it was, and that's the way I carried through. I finished my degree over a couple of years. I didn't graduate with my fellow classmates that I went to school with in the beginning of the university career, but we still stay in contact. Doesn't matter, we still love each other. So it goes forward that way. Now I do want to give a little credit to the growers at that time. As I already said, I was a young man, very young, and they had demand for sugar beets just like every other time. But they made a decision, the board and the growers at that time made a decision they were going to reserve a certain number of acres as there were increases coming for young growers to get them started so we would have a future in the beet industry. And I was one of those that was fortunate to get it that way. Now I fully admit that, as I said before, most of those that got sugar beets this way were sons or daughters of existing beet farmers, and so it was a little simpler in that way, but not all. I'm living proof that yes, they did give sugar beets to non-beet growers, and it worked.